And a Fox 16 News update now on the latest in Uvalde, Texas, and the fallout from the mass shooting at Robb Elementary last Tuesday.
Today, mourning families continued to lay loved ones to rest. Funeral services were held for 10-year-old Jose Manuel Flores and Irma and Joe Garcia. Irma was one of the teachers inside the classroom where that shooting took place. Within days of her death, her husband Joe unfortunately died of a heart attack.
And in addition to the shock and heartbreak victims' families experience following something like this, it can also be life-changing for the professionals who have to respond to and work the scenes.
We have team coverage for you this evening. Katrin Asaf will show us what it takes from the medical side of things. But we begin with Jessica Rank, who joins us live in studio after she talked with local law enforcement about what the response looks like on their end. What did you find out?
Well, yeah, Kevin, questions about the timeline of events that day are still on top of people's minds. And one of the main ones was why police waited 40 minutes to breach that classroom the gunman was in. Now, today I asked officers here in Central Arkansas about it, and here's what they had to say.
All available units, start for the Benton Junior High active shooter.
Sometimes in that moment where emotion is involved and that heart rate is up to 180 beats per minute, you know, people don't always make the best decisions.
Casings in the hallway. Loud shots echo off walls. Years ago, this was part of a training for the Benton Police Department. Last week,
there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can.
It was a reality for officers in Uvalde, Texas.
I'm not going to speculate of what it is that they maybe did right, maybe what they did wrong, is, you know, because I wasn't there.
From the time the gunman entered Robb Elementary to the time he was killed, over an hour. We asked Lieutenant Quentin Jackson of the Benton Police Department about the response time.
I think everyone outside of the department looks at it, it's like, why didn't you just run in? Can you explain that from a police standpoint?
Yes, because, I mean, I can understand where the barricaded part of it, you set up a perimeter. But I also understand the part about, you know, if you have an actual active killer in the building, regardless of what means they're using, usually you go into the building.
The shooting in Uvalde was categorized as a barricade situation, a decision police in Texas admit was wrong.
You're only as good as the information in which you've received.
From calls to cues.
You're trying to use your critical thinking skills in order to think your way through that problem.
And just like in real life, Jackson says active shooter training is different every time.
If I could give you one answer that would always protect you, I would give it to you.
He says it's important that officers think through every situation, even if they only have a few seconds.
You take that deep breath and you take a half a second to think about what is the best course of action moving forward.
With preserving human life on top of mind.
I mean, can we always do it better? Absolutely.
Now, Benton PD is having their active shooter training at the end of this month, and Lieutenant Jackson says it's likely they will use events in Uvalde to train their officers on additional circumstances.